one of the joys is to read the people who have ruined this country, like the New York Times. The New York Times, which fired its longtime, remember that? They fired the longtime editor of their opinion page because he published a Republican senator. It is such a left-wing mouthpiece of crap, the New York Times, that you can't even publish a Republican senator. You get fired. Oh, so yes. Oh, well, it's a joy to read it. They don't understand. The only people who read it are people who have contempt for it, like me, and people who believe it, like the left people who subscribe, and the liberals who still think the New York Times is their darling paper from the 1950s and 60s. Yes. All Americans should now be wary of an incoming Trump administration that is likely to put a top priority on amassing unchecked power. The man wants to reduce government, you liars. I mean, it's filled with deceit. The whole agenda of Republicans, as every conservative who is at all conservative, is to reduce the power of government. You want to amass unchecked power. The lack of awareness of themselves is one of the constituent characteristics of a leftist. They don't know themselves. Really? Did he amass unchecked power when he was president 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago? Did he? Punishing its perceived enemies. That's what you did. Making with Merrick Garland one of the scummiest human beings to ever serve in the United States government. He will go down as truly as a crook. No, he's not a crook. I take it back. He's not a crook. He's probably financially honest, in fact. He will go down as a thug, not a crook. Oh, there's a reckoning. Yes, there is a reckoning to come. That is exactly right. Yeah, they won't be able to get rid of the filibuster. This newspaper, quote unquote, this left-wing rag sheet has been in favor of getting rid of the filibuster so that if there's a 50-50 split in the U.S. Senate, using the vice president, if the vice president is a Democrat, 51-50, anything they want to pass, they will pass. The filibuster says, no, you have to pass laws if you get some people, just a few, 10, that's it, 10 out of 50. 20%, that's it. Just get 1 out of 5 of the opposition, and then you can pass a law. And I want that for Republicans as well. We need to have Democrats agree with laws that are passed. But not the New York Times. And they have the chutzpah, the audacity, the hubris, the deceit to write that it is the Republicans, it is Donald Trump who wants to amass unchecked power. The whole editorial is a lie. All Americans, regardless of their party or politics, should insist that the fundamental pillars of the nation's democracy, including constitutional checks and balances, they are for constitutional checks and balances. Oh, God, it's painful. Fair-minded federal prosecutors and judges. Where were they for the last 4 years? When we had no fair-minded federal prosecutors and judges. We had no constitutional checks and balances. Where were they? They're going crazy at the New York Times because the biggest reason is not just because Donald Trump won. I mean, resoundingly won. And the Republicans resoundingly won the Senate. We don't know yet about the House. That's part of the reason. they're depressed at the New York Times. The biggest is they know no one gives a damn what they think. Only fellow leftists. This is huge. This is huge. The shaping of American opinion by the left-wing media is dead, is over. And it's over. That's what it is over. Nothing is permanent. That's the way life is. Unfortunately, even good is not permanent. But this, I don't know how this will change. If the brainwash of the university, the brainwash of high school, the brainwash of elementary school, the brainwash of the university, the brainwash of the mainstream media did not work against the most hated Republican in the history of the Republic, the most hated politician in the history of the Republic, if it didn't work now, when will it work? They speak to themselves. They had one constituency, I'm sorry to say. They didn't get the women that they expected to get. They didn't get the Hispanics they expected to get. The only group that they got still overwhelming majority were black Americans and overwhelmingly black women. It is a tragedy of unspeakable dimensions that so many blacks still think that America is racist and think that the Democratic Party is their friend. It is the greatest deceit possible that blacks think that the Democrats are their friends. That talk about lies, there's no bigger lie in American life. The Democratic Party has always been the enemy of the black. Always. It was founded to protect slavery. It was they who kept the Jim Crow laws, and they who passed the legislation to enslave blacks to the welfare system. Yeah, that's the last constituency, but that's not permanent. It is not permanent. The defeat is the depths of the defeat of the left yesterday cannot be overstated.